The driver in the Northway crash that killed two Shenandoah High School students in 2012 has now been released from prison.
Dennis Drue killed Deanna Rivers and Christopher Stewart and seriously injured their friends Bailey Wind and Matt Hardy when his speeding car rear-ended their vehicle on the Northway in 2012. Drue was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison after admitting to being drunk and high at the time of the crash. He was denied parole 3 times before he was released from prison today. New York State Department of Corrections says that Drue was granted something called limited credit time allowance based on programs he completed and good behavior.
The parents of Christopher Stewart and Deanna Rivers are reacting to the early release of Dennis Drue. Since the day that they lost their children, they have worked tirelessly to change laws and keep Drue behind bars.
News 10 ABC's James De La Fuente was at Shenandoah tonight to hear from the families.
We knew it was going to be tough, but I don't think we anticipated that it was going to be as tough as it was today.
Nearly a decade after Dennis Drue was locked up for the deaths of 2 Shen students, their parents are visiting the memorial gardens on school grounds. They expressed their emotions and shared their thoughts as the man who killed their kids is now back in the community.
Very tough community to come back to. A lot of broken hearts here, and so hopefully he stays on a straight line and learn from it all.
The families tell News 10 they believe justice was not served in this case.
We'll never consider justice to be done. 5 to 15, I feel, is kind of a light sentence for killing 2 kids the way he did.
The victims' families aren't the only ones asking how Drue was released early. Attorney Eric Schillinger of Schillinger Law explains the legal process.
Once you've served 2/3 of the sentence, you're eligible for something called conditional release, and that means that you're released at that point to parole, where you live on conditions, things like don't consume alcohol, don't use drugs, maybe not drive a car.
Schillinger says Drue is far from being done with the justice system.
You're still on the hook. And if he violates any of those conditions, he's sent back to jail to complete the remaining balance on the prison sentence he received.
In Clifton Park, reporting for News 10 ABC, I'm James De La Fuente.
Because of this crash, local lawmakers and the parents of the victims are calling for new legislation. Chris and Deanna's law would require all victim impact statements in the case to be recorded, then watched by the parole board before a decision is made to release someone on parole.
To make sure on these victim impact statements in these cases, they're taped, and the real individuals, the 3 commissioners of the parole boards, who are going to interview people like Dennis Drue, are going to have to see that video from beginning to end.
The bill has been proposed by Senator Jim Tedisco, but it's yet to pass either the Assembly or the state Senate.